Hi everyone, John Cottrell here of MBODY Yoga. Welcome. This is Soft Flow. This is a 60-minute gentle yoga practice. So glad that you're here and you can join me. So I've got a class that I've put together for you. I'm calling it the splits. So are we going to be doing the splits? Well, not exactly. Because this is a gentle yoga practice, we won't be going into the full posture of the splits, which is actually called Hanumanasana. There's a whole story around that, and I might say a little bit about that a little bit later in the class. But what we will do is just do some preparatory poses that would help us to eventually work our way to the split. So that means we're going to be working our hip flexors, so the fronts of our legs, and a lot of hamstring stretches, okay? So for our props today, and we need quite a few for this. So mainly, and you can probably see I've got a chair right here. So you may want a chair, table, wall, something. We won't be using it for very long in the class, but just something that you can support yourself because we have a little bit of balancing to do, okay? So you'll need something to lean on basically. So I'm just going to have my chair, which I'm actually going to move out of the way a little bit here. And then of course the rest that we need here, your soft blanket or pillow or towel, okay, something soft that you can sit on and kneel on. And our yoga blocks that we like to use, these will really come in handy. So if you've got some blocks or books, you know, 2, 3, or 4 maybe, and if you don't have yoga blocks, grab some throw pillows from your sofa. That can also work. I have a strap here. I brought it out, but I'm not sure if we'll actually use it, but you certainly can in a couple of postures that we're going to do. So I will have that handy, but not necessary. And then maybe another big cushion or pillow. This is just a bolster. Won't be really part of this practice, but I like to always have it nearby in case there's an opportunity to use it. Usually in the Shavasana practice, when you're relaxing, it's nice to have something like this. Okay, that is it. We shall begin our practice together, and as always, we like to start in seated, so do find a comfortable seat. You may be sitting on your pillow or folded blanket, something soft. Perhaps crossing your legs. Of course, you don't have to cross your legs. I like to sit in half lotus. This is comfortable for me. You can just cross your legs, just kind of crossing at your shins, or maybe you want to extend your legs, or even sit in that chair. Bring in that chair and sit in your chair or up against a wall if you need a little bit more back support as we begin the class. Because we like to sit in stillness for a few minutes and just tune into breath. So I invite you to take a nice full breath in. You might breathe in deeply through your nose and exhale through your nose or out through your mouth if you'd like. Even try this if you'd like. Breathe in through your nose, then exhale through your mouth with a sigh. And you notice when you sigh, you relax. You may notice that your shoulders relax, your neck relaxes. So try that again. A nice full breath in and exhale with a sigh. Wonderful, good. And you can continue to do that a few more times if you like, and then just move into slow, steady breaths. Just breathing out, breathing in and out. Finding stillness in your body, and just beginning your journey inward. Taking the time to be fully present and aware and connected. And we can do that with the resource of our breath. Just pay attention to your breathing. Notice how it feels as you take these breaths in and breaths out. Listen to the sound of your breath. And if you need to, turn up the volume of your breath so you can hear it. And notice the feeling of the breath. Either feel or just imagine that your breath is actually flowing and moving throughout your body and you can sense it. One of the things that I'm thinking about for this practice, even though we're working towards the splits, is really kind of opening ourselves up, because we'll be moving into postures that really kind of go to that next level of really expanding and opening ourselves. So as you inhale, you might even feel the breath rising upward to fill up your lungs. Then as you exhale, as you're able, draw your navel inward toward your spine. Just a light connection here. Contraction of the abdominal muscles, just this drawing inward toward your spine feeling. Inhale, feel lengthening through the spine, feeling tall and light in the upper body. And the exhale, draw belly in, not too tightly, not too strongly, just an awareness of your center. And just continue with that feeling. Go ahead and take 3 more breaths as we sit in stillness for our breathing meditation. And then we'll add on by adding a very simple movement, our moving meditation. When you're ready, join me. You can inhale and extend your arms out and up into the air. Reach and extend. Big stretch there. Then as you exhale, extend your arms out and then back down by your side. You can do that again. Inhale, reaching out. Good energy in your arms, hands, and fingers. Reaching out then all the way up to complete the inhale. Then exhale, extending outward. Feel as if you're going to reach the walls on either side of you and then back down. Now go ahead and continue breathing and moving at your own pace. You don't have to move how I'm moving or breathe at the same pace as I am. Just follow your breath. And perhaps you're moving in slow motion. So pay attention to the feelings that show up in your body as you're moving slowly. Noticing the energy and sensation in your shoulders, perhaps. Your lengthened arms as you reach out and up. And lengthening through the sides of your body as you're reaching up into the air. Continue to be aware of your breathing. When you inhale, of course, breath is rising, filling up your lungs as your arms float up into the sky. Your exhale, you want to still stay long in the spine and then draw navel inward towards your spine. All right, finish the breath that you're on and take 2 more breaths, going at your own pace. And whenever you're complete, you can just bring your arms back down by your side, come to stillness and relax. Return to breath. Still seated, or come to a seat on your mat and bring your hands behind you, maybe just propped up on your fingertips here. Bringing your arms behind you will start to bring your shoulders naturally behind you too. Okay? And maybe just to give a little bit more emphasis of that, feel the shoulders pull back a little bit by squeezing shoulder blades together. And then just tip your chin up a little bit as if you're going to look up towards the sky, but you don't have to lift your head too high. Just a slight tip of the chin upward. Now, we're going to inhale and just press into the ground with your fingertips. Feel that energy shoot up through the arms, right up into your shoulders, and of course up the spine. Fill up your lungs. Inhale. As you exhale, still drawing belly in towards spine, and as you're able, just squeezing the shoulder blades together behind you. So we've added much more sensation to the body in this seated, mild back bend. Again, inhaling, pressing into the ground, feel your fingertips come to life, strong arms, shoulders rolled back, heart opening, lungs expanding. Exhaling, belly drawing in, squeezing shoulder blades. 2 more breaths as you're able. And when you're complete, just lower your chin so you're looking directly forward. Walk your hands towards yourself so you can sit up nice and tall again, and even just bring your hands to your lap. Maybe a little shake of the shoulders here to release. Come back to stillness. Return to your breathing. All right, so that was our back bend. Let's take our forward fold. So if your legs are crossed here, you can uncross them. Let's place the soles of the feet together so they touch, and we start a hip opener. So the knees are bent and they're out to the side here. This is where your books or pillows or blocks can come in handy if you'd like, and just tuck them underneath the legs so your legs have something to rest on. And maybe holding onto your shins, your ankles, feet, or toes, and just hold on so you can sit up as tall as can be. Imagine you're maybe sitting up against a wall or in a straight back chair. So that's your inhale, nice and tall. Exhale, draw belly in as you now move, just hinging forward a little bit and feel as if you're being led by your heart or maybe your chin. And we're just going forward just a little bit. Pause there, check in, notice how this feels, because this could be the end of the pose, not needing to go much deeper than this. But maybe you would like to, but not forcing or pushing yourself. A nice inhale to extend and lengthen through spine. Exhale, draw belly in and hinge forward maybe a tiny bit more. Now you can certainly change this. At first we're kind of leaning forward, maintaining an extension through the torso and spine, but feel free to lower the chin a little bit, even let your back round a little bit. This may allow you to reach maybe your toes here and maybe fold a little bit more. Again, not needing to force or push, not even needing to go too deeply into the posture. Just to a place where you can feel that inner thigh stretch. It feels fine. It doesn't feel overdone. And then just continue with deep breathing. And again, if you happen to be in this rounded back sensation, as you're able, maybe now breathing into your back body. Just as when we were leaning back a little bit, breathing into our lungs on the front side, expanding through the chest, do the same thing, but now expanding through your back. And maybe 3 more breaths here. Now, if your back is curved to come out of this pose, start just by lifting your chin. So maybe you're looking out in front of you at the front edge of your mat, perhaps. That'll start that re-extension of your spine. Maybe placing hands on your mat to help press and lift yourself up, just really assisting your own body as you come back up nice and tall in the seat. And just pause here for a few seconds. All right, we can set our props to the side here. We're going to make our way to hands and knees. So take your time and just kind of swing around. Kneel on your mat or blanket or towel, whatever you've got here, just to protect your wrists and your knee joints. And so we're in this tabletop position. Cat and cow, which is a flow. We're going to inhale and just tip the chin up or look forward, opening up through the chest. Let your belly kind of drop as your back arches and your pelvis tips back. And that's our our cow pose. Then we exhale, rounding the spine, pulling belly button up towards spine, chin to chest, and the tailbone kind of tucks underneath. That's cat. Then inhale to cow. Pelvis tips back, belly drops. That back bend feel, heart opens, look forward, exhale, round it all out. And again, you can move at your own pace through these 2 poses, following your own breath. Some things just to kind of play with in this posture is, certainly the speed, because you don't have to go too quickly with this, and then perhaps even holding the end pose. So as you come to cat pose, you might just hold it briefly. Same when you come to cow, the back bend, you might hold it briefly. And just going at your own pace, listening to your body as well. I'm going to introduce some additional movements, and these are optional. Just notice how things are feeling here. Now you can continue with this classic movement of cat and cow. But if there's something more intuitive that comes to you that you would like to do, go ahead and move in that fashion. For example, you might want to circle your hips. Just making big circles here, clockwise and then counterclockwise. Even just shifting hip side to side just to get into the outer hips a little bit. And even check in with your hands. I'm noticing my wrists are getting a little tired. So I'm going to come down to my elbows here just to take that pressure off the wrist and continue the cat and cow flow. The movement's the same, but I'm noticing other parts of the body that are responding to this movement, especially when I exhale into cat pose with my elbows on the floor like this. I notice that in my lats or latissimus muscles, and that's just kind of what I call the wings, and they kind of come out the sides here from your shoulders or at your armpit area down towards your ribs. So just notice what it feels like to kind of change things up a little bit, and then again moving intuitively. And all the while, breathing in and out. Go ahead and take 3 more breaths as a signal to complete this flow. After that 3rd breath, just slowly make your way back to hands and knees and come to stillness. And maybe your gaze is directly downward, that way your neck stays long and neutral. And then we'll set up for our next pose. If you are on a pad here, like a blanket, let's go ahead and crawl off of that and set it to the side. Okay, we'll be using that later, so have it nearby. Come back to hands and knees on your mat, and we'll get set up for our next pose. So from here, you'll step your hands forward so your hands are out from underneath your shoulders. In doing so, spread out your fingers pretty wide, creating a strong base. Okay, a nice foundation. Plus, it also stretches the webbing between the fingers. And if you lean into the hands and press your hands flat into the ground, it stretches open your palms. Nice, strong, straight arms. Notice that. And then tuck your toes under. Let's do another cat-cow flow. So inhale, look up, arching the back, that's cow. Exhale, round it out, cat. Hold cat pose, chin to chest, belly button pulling up towards spine, rounded spine. And then pick up your knees, and then lift your hips up into the air. You'll be in this inverted V shape in the body, downward facing dog. Hands are still pressing firmly into the ground, strong, straight arms. Keep a good bend in the knees. Heels will most likely be lifted up off the ground. Hips are rising. All right, now look straight down at the ground on your mat. Start stepping forward until your feet are probably underneath you or at least flat on the ground. Slide your fingers toward your toes and you'll be in forward fold. Now we're going to inhale and slide the hands up the legs, perhaps to your shins, knees, or even your thighs, extending your spine, rising halfway, then hold here. So you've kind of formed like a table with your own body. Keep a good bend in the knees here so you don't lock out the knee joints. In here you might even feel energy, an activation in the hamstrings. That's what's partly holding you in place, as well as your core strength. That's also holding you in place in this half forward fold. We're going to continue to stand up, so shift your weight back into your heels, bend your knees a little, look forward, spread your wings perhaps, arms out to the side. Inhale, stand up tall, reach up into the air, even hold here for a few seconds, reaching high and then higher still. Inhale, then exhale, you can go ahead and bring your arms down by your side. Let them relax. Take a moment here even just to circle the wrists because we were on our hands and knees. That forced flexed sensation may have tired out the wrists a little bit, so we'll just give them a little wiggle. You can do that with your shoulders as well too. Okay? All right, let's do our half salute to the sun, and that's just our forward fold, and we come back up to standing. Starting together in mountain pose, let's inhale, extend the arms out and up. Even feel free to look up if that feels okay on your neck. Exhale, spread your wings, bend your knees, sit back into an imaginary chair. You want to feel like your hips are moving to the back end of your mat as you slowly fold. Coming down, and maybe your hands land at your shins or right at the ankles, maybe your toes, as long as your knees are very bent. Let the head get heavy and let it drop, and maybe you can see behind you between your knees. Now inhale and slide your hands back up the legs, halfway lifting, looking directly down, so your neck is neutral, back is flat, hamstrings engaged. Shifting weight into the heels, bend your knees, look forward, slightly upward, spread your wings again, stand up tall. Inhale, reach all the way up into the sky, and exhale, arms down by your side. Excellent. And you can even do that same little shake of the wrists, maybe elbows, and your shoulders. All right, we're going to get ready for our next pose. This is where you might want to have some extra support. I'm going to slide in my chair here. That can be a chair, table, wall, anything, okay? We're not going to be using it very long, but it's just going to help, okay? So we're going to be facing that. We're in mountain pose. We're going to be moving into our variation of Warrior One, but we're going to add a little bit of a balance here first, okay? So go ahead and start by putting a softness or a good bend in your knees. Start shifting your weight over into your right foot so you feel really pretty well planted there, okay? Lean forward a little bit and go ahead and place your left hand or both hands on whatever's in front of you for balance, okay? And as you're leaning forward, we're just going to slide the left foot back until it just boom, lifts up off the floor. So my toes are not touching the ground at all. So just lifting. And what you may feel is the hamstring and maybe your glutes engage. One thing that I've been working on with some of my private yoga clients is because we've been inside a whole lot, especially probably through a lot of last year, 2020, there's probably a lot of sitting. And a lot of sitting can actually disengage, okay, our glute muscles, okay? Sometimes we call it dead butt. Yes, dead butt. And so we want to get some reactivation back there. Alrighty, let's go ahead and just set the toes down right there, and then we'll pivot left heel to the floor and shift your weight back and just, stand on 2 feet in this variation of Warrior One. So not too much distance between the feet. Okay? So we're going to place hands on hips, push pelvis down as you feel more extension through your spine and torso. Face mostly forward here. Then we'll inhale, extend the arms up into the air. And as you exhale, bend the elbows significantly, something like this, kind of working towards 90 degrees. Kind of a goalpost shape or a cactus. Sometimes we call this cactus pose. So we're in our variation of Warrior One. All right, listen carefully. We're going to inhale, shoot the arms straight up into the air. Exhale, bring the arms forward or hands forward. Can you catch whatever's in front of you, the wall, chair, or table? Hands on it, shifting weight into your front foot, this right foot, so you can get weight on it and pick up that left leg again. Activating glutes here, maybe hamstring, right there. Maybe bending that left knee, just bring it in and then set the foot down next to the other. Let's go ahead and take the arms out and up into the air one more time so we're nice and tall. Then arms back down by your side. Okay, so just a little added balance, activation of the glutes. Okay, other side. A little bend in the knees, keep the knees soft, start shifting weight into the left foot, stay there. Lean forward, catch your support system there. Start sliding the right foot back or tiptoe it back until it lifts up off the ground and you feel the activation in the back muscles, okay? Your glutes, maybe the hamstring. Even if you, if you flex the foot, if you flex the foot, you'll even get a little bit more activation perhaps. Let's hold here for a little bit longer, okay? Just hold it. Let's let those muscles engage, flex, okay? All right, we're going to set the toes down onto the floor. Pivot right heel to the ground and then just sit back until you're centered on both feet. Again, not too much distance between the feet. Hands on hips, push pelvis down, get nice and tall. Torso mostly facing forward, right there. Inhale, take both arms out and up into the air, straight line. Exhale, bend elbows 90 degrees. Holding here. All right, so this is our first lunge exercise. We will be doing Warrior One again, okay, in a little bit more traditional fashion. But even here, even notice what this might feel like if you have sensation in that right hip flexor, okay? That's on the right leg, okay, the upper thigh, kind of close to the belt line. All right, inhale, shoot the arms straight up into the air. As you exhale, bring the arms and hands forward, catch your support system out front. Lean into this left foot. We're going to do that same thing. Pick up the right foot, flexing the foot perhaps. So off the ground, feel the energy in the glutes, hamstring, bend the right knee. So you can just bring that leg in and set the foot down next to the other. And then inhale, sweep the arms out and up into the air. Exhale, arms down by your side. And that'll complete that series. All right, very nice. I'm just going to move my chair out of the way. And that's all we're going to be using that for, okay? So maybe just a couple breaths, and let's get into our sun salutation, getting into our next variation of Warrior One. And yes, we are still working towards the splits. Here we go. Inhale, take the arms out and up, reaching high. Take your time with this. Exhale, swan dive, or bend your knees, sit back into the imaginary chair, arms come out and then down towards the ground. Let the head go heavy, let the back round naturally. Inhale, slide your hands up the shins, extending your spine, long, flat back. You're going to exhale and fold again. This time, let the back round,
Let your knees bend a whole lot, getting lower to the ground. And so you can take your hands or place your hands on the mat so you can walk or step both of your feet back to the back end of your mat until you draw a straight line in the body like this, plank pose. You still want to feel like your hips are lifting. Notice if you can still engage your glutes and hamstrings. We're going to breathe in. Exhale, bend your knees a little. Send your hips up into the air, moving right away into downward facing dog. Take a moment to adjust your feet, maybe even your hands on your mat. Spread out your fingers. Press palms strongly into the ground so you have strong support. Okay, getting ready for our second version of Warrior One. Here we'll inhale, lifting right foot, extend the leg up and back, just back behind you's fine. Exhale, bend the right knee quite a bit. Bring the right knee in underneath you towards your chest, shifting your whole upper body forward until your shoulders are mostly aligned over the wrist, both wrists. And then set your right foot down on the floor. Just set it down, and then set your left knee down. That way you can actually go and get your right foot, because we need to pick it up and place it up higher on the mat near your hand. Once there, relift the left knee, pivot or turn left heel to the floor, shifting your weight back a bit with the whole body until there's more weight and pressure in that back foot. Balance, okay, evenness. And so you can, now we've got more distance between the feet. Extending your torso long out over your right thigh. And then we'll hinge our way up, facing forward, arms come out and then up into the air, reach high, and then lunge low. Let's pause here for a moment. So this is our second version of Warrior One. Notice this is the hip flexor region right through here. Notice if there is a lengthening quality happening through this part of the leg. We're going to inhale, reach. Exhale, turn your torso towards the left side of the room as your arms come down to parallel. This should put you right away into Warrior Two. You might not need to make too many adjustments with the feet, okay? But if you need to, please feel free. Maybe a little wider or more distance between the feet if you want, or even shorten the distance, that's fine. Let's take side angle. So you're going to reach forward, reaching out with this right hand to angle the upper half of the body. Rotate your arms. Right hand will just start reaching downward as your left hand reaches upward. Now your right hand does not need to touch the ground. It can, but it doesn't have to, especially for this class. But do reach. Nice extensions here. Remember, we're trying to make more space. Feel your breath. Feel your breath moving into these newly opened spaces. Let's take a breath in. We're going to exhale and carefully turn to face the floor. Fold and bend. Bring the hands back down to the mat. Rise up onto tiptoes behind you so you're in this runner's lunge feeling. Press hands firmly into the ground, strong arms, so you can slide the right foot back to meet the other plank pose. Hold. Core engagement. Hips lifting. Feel the glutes. Softness in the knees. Bend the knees a little. Send your hips into the air. Downward facing dog. Make your adjustments with your feet and your hands. And we get ready for the other side. Go ahead and inhale and lift the left foot, extending the left leg back. It doesn't have to lift high. It's just off the floor, reaching back. You might even feel that in the glutes here too. That's good. As you exhale, bend the left knee. Bring it in underneath you towards your chest or chin as you shift your whole upper body forward. Shoulders stacked over left or both wrists. Set the left foot down. Set your right knee down. Unless you can step all the way up to the top, that's fine. If you aren't able to, just set the foot down, then go get it. Pick it up, place it up higher on the mat. Relift right knee. Pivot right heel to the floor, shifting weight back. Balance on 2 feet. Of course, more distance between the feet. Extending your torso so it's straight and long out over your left thigh. Then we can easily lift, hinging from hips, rising up, facing forward. Bring the arms out and up into the air. Reach high and lunge low. When you lunge, that should create that sensation in the right hip flexor. Now, I put a lot of distance between my feet in this case, and so I really feel this. And another thing that's going to help release and kind of stretch in that area is actually how much you're facing forward, okay? So just notice. We'll take a breath in. Exhale, turn your torso now towards the right side of the room as your arms come down to parallel. And again, you may not need to make any adjustments with the feet, but you're certainly welcome to do so, especially if you feel like your feet are slipping or just need to reconnect. Arms extending, so good energy out through your arms.
Side angle, so reach out over left thigh, reaching forward through left hand. Rotate the arms, left hand reaching downward, right hand reaching upward. Same thing, stay high, perfectly fine for this in all times. Or if you want to, you can certainly go lower, but not needing to touch the ground unless you would like to today. Let's take a breath in. We're going to exhale, carefully turn so you're facing the floor. Carefully fold and bend. Bring your hands to the mat. Once they meet the ground, rise up onto the tiptoes behind you so everything is aligned and facing forward. I call this a runner's lunge. Press palms firmly into the ground so your arms are straight and strong. That's a transfer of weight, so you can slide the left foot back until you're in plank pose right here. Alrighty, let's take a moment to bring knees to the floor. We're going to do what I call half hero. Tuck your toes under. Start shifting your body back, okay, until you can easily take your hands off the floor. I call this half hero because we're not all the way in the posture. We will do full hero in a moment, but this is a way just to get your hands off the ground and maybe a little circling of the wrists without putting too much pressure in the knees or ankles. All right, here's the other version if you would like to do it. Flatten the feet, so you're on the tops of the feet back, and then sit back and down all the way. That's going to put a little bit more sensation, kind of a stretch quality through the knees, and especially down through the shins and the tops of the feet or ankles, okay? Just a little pause there. Okay, and then slide off onto the ground, onto the mat. Sit in the center of your mat. Make sure you've got blocks nearby, okay? And then go ahead and roll down onto your back. You can even use a pillow or a blanket if you need something soft underneath your head. So you're going to lie down with your knees bent, feet flat on the ground. And you can easily grab your books or blocks nearby. Take a breath or two, let your body just soften. Disengage a little bit. All right, now take a nice full breath in. Fill up your lungs. Exhale, engaging your belly, then lifting hips into the air just long enough so you can slide the blocks underneath you and then sit on your blocks right there. And we're going to do a couple things with this, something just a little bit different than we normally do. First, just find the relaxed kind of sitting sensation of the supported bridge pose, okay? Just allowing just the whole front side of the body to open naturally, okay? Paying attention kind of the center here, around the belt line, pelvis, upper thighs, basically hip flexors, even the psoas, that's kind of in the low belly area, okay? Some more supportive muscle groupings. Now try this. This is just an option really. If you can you slide or step your feet a little bit closer toward yourself, okay? Lift the heels off the ground, okay? And then lifting your hips off the blocks just for a few seconds. Maybe count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then lower your way back down to the blocks. You can even set the feet flat on the mat again. We're going to do that again. So we're going back to kind of relieving that dead butt. I should have called this class Relieve Your Dead Butt. So we see if you lift away from the blocks, you'll engage your hamstrings and your glutes. Okay, let's just do that one more time. So walking the feet close again. If you step forward, lift the heels. Okay, so you'll be on the balls of your feet. With an exhale, lift, hold. Okay, just notice, are your glutes engaged? How do the hamstrings feel? 3, 4, 5, and then lower your way back down. Good. Alrighty. Hold there for just a second so the body just can rest for a few seconds. And then re-lift the hips, just enough time to slide the blocks out from underneath you. All right, let's stay here with knees bent, feet flat on the floor. But hug right knee in towards chest. Not too strongly, just lifting the foot off the floor really. And then just circle the ankle, okay? Not too fast, I'm just showing you. So some circles with the ankles, clockwise, counterclockwise, and then flex your foot, point the toes, flex, point a few times. And maybe your hands are on your shin. Can you feel what's happening in your shin when you flex and point like that? Okay. right, go ahead and set the foot down and do the other side. So left knee, hug it in, not too strongly. And some circles. Just getting into the ankle joints. Flex and point, noticing the muscle changes in your shins. And then hug both knees into chest. Start to rock forward and back carefully, but enough momentum and energy so you can rock your way up to seated. Now if you can't rock your way up this way, you can't get enough momentum, try this. You can just roll to one side, use your hands and just press and lift yourself up, okay? And once you're seated, just extend the legs straight out in front. Come to staff pose. So your hands by your hips and just push into the floor to help you extend your spine. Nice and tall in the torso, looking forward. And then check in with shoulders, roll the shoulders back, squeezing shoulder blades together. Now we're going to do a mild forward fold. Now you can use your strap, okay? Like I said, I brought out the strap, but you don't have to have the strap for this, okay? I'm just going to do this freely. So all I'm doing here is inhaling to get as tall as can be at my 90-degree angle. Exhale, draw belly in, and just using my hands to help hinge forward just a little bit. Right about here is fine. This is perfect. I can feel this in my hamstrings. Alrighty. All right, we need to get into our hip flexors a little bit more in a moment. Alrighty. So let's rise back up. Relax. Alrighty. And maybe lean to one side, doesn't matter which, so you can just kind of bend the knees, swing the legs underneath you, and come to hands and knees. Okay? Now, what you may want to do is bring in your blanket or towel. Bring it in right here. Even have some blocks nearby, maybe one on either side of you on your mat, okay? Go ahead and get up on the blanket, on your knees, and then just get nice and tall here. Just lift your whole body. Okay, what we're going to do is just lean over to your left side and carefully, maybe bracing yourself, you can even use a block over here to help balance, and just step your right foot forward like this. I'm going to call this a box shape, okay, with both legs, a little box shape, okay, 90 degrees. Now, we have a box shape with the right foot, but you're going to wiggle the foot forward so you no longer have 90 degrees, way out front, okay? And then you're going to start to lunge forward, okay? You can do, I'm going to actually scoot back a little bit. I mean, you might need to as well. I just want to have a little bit more up front, more room up front, okay? So I'm just getting my foot out there. So I'm just lunging a little deeper so I can get into this hip flexor, this left side. Now, maybe you're here and this feels just fine. If you want to go a little further, a little deeper, this is where you might want to bring in some blocks, something you can kind of support yourself. I call these like walking sticks or stilts here, just to support yourself as you go a little deeper. Basically, I'm just sending my hips or pelvis forward and downward slightly to really get into this area. Okay, that left hip flexor area. And that's about as far as we're going to go with this. Remember, in soft flow, we like to work at 60%. Okay? So if you feel like you've gone beyond that, you can certainly back it up a little bit or a whole lot. Alrighty. Remember, we're working towards the splits. We're not doing the splits. Okay? So the splits would be something like this left leg continuing to extend straight out back behind us, while this right leg was straight out in front of us. That's Hanumanasana. But here we're working that back leg, getting into the hip flexor. Now we're going to get into the front leg. Still using your walking sticks, your books, your stilts here. And then just sit back. Start to sit back. So now you're just extending this front leg, sitting back. And what I'm going to do with this right block actually is put it underneath my right cheek. I'm actually sitting on that block, okay? So it doesn't aggravate this left knee too much. So I can prop myself up. I'm actually going to use two blocks here. Okay? And just using hands to also just staying somewhat lifted and maybe a slight hinge forward, okay? So now we're getting that front leg extension, hamstring, alrighty? Deep breaths. Three more breaths. And this is what we're going to do. We're actually going to go forward and do the other leg again. We're just going to repeat this, okay? So what we'll do here to get out of the pose, using your hands just by your side, so you can kind of press, kind of come back up to this box shape, okay? But you may want to use your blocks again. Use them as little walking sticks to go forward, doing the exact same thing. Alrighty? And just lunging forward. Yes. Something to check in with within this front leg. Can you see? My shin is straight up and down. My knee here is stacked nicely right over heel or ankle. Be aware if you've got this kind of thing going on. Okay? See how the knee has gone past my heel or ankle? That can put a little bit too much pressure on the knee. So back out of that, move that foot forward, then lunge. So we don't have that aggravation there potentially. Okay, let this natural stretch happen here. 2 more breaths. And these, of course, yes, gets us ready for the splits. All right, let's lift back up, passing through that box shape with the legs, and then sit back. I'm using the blocks to help me sit back, but I'm going to use the blocks to actually sit on. This is why you might want to have several blocks, several more blocks perhaps, if you happen to have them, and then sit back. I'm sitting right on that block, those blocks. This feels great, okay? And then lifting up, just long torso hinging forward. I can really feel that in the hamstring. Now the leg, of course, because you might be sitting up on something, there's space here. Can you see? Okay, I've got space underneath this leg. If you need to, maybe get a rolled up towel to tuck underneath the knee so it doesn't feel like it's going to hyperextend at all. 2 more breaths. All right, using hands, lifting. I'm going to get my blocks again, get them out in front here. Just come back to this box shape. Okay, lean over to the left side, maybe a hand on the floor or a block, so I can bring this right knee back. Just on knees here, I'm just pushing pelvis down, lifting up through torso. Let's just step into the other side. So I'm leaning over to the right using a block, so I can step my left foot forward. Here's my box shape, both legs. Same thing. I'm going to wiggle this left foot way out front, changing that angle. Start to slowly kind of lunge forward. Hips are going forward and downward. Checking in with this alignment. And just settling in. Work at 60%. No need to push, no need to force this. Allow this to happen. Even if you need to back up a little bit, even backing up, sometimes when we back up or get out of a pose or start to come out of a pose a little bit, we feel like we're not working, okay? Or you don't feel too much, but believe me, things are still happening, okay? You don't have to feel every little thing. Things are happening, sometimes at a very microscopic or very subtle way. 3 more breaths. All right, we're going to lift up out of this deep lunge using the blocks to kind of help walk back. Sit back, and I'm going to bring both blocks so I can sit on this left side right here. Perfect. Hands on the floor to help lift up through torso and extend out over this straight front leg. You can even put more bend in the knee. Remember, tuck something underneath it for a little padding. That's why it's nice to have a whole bunch of different props here. Towels and blankets and pillows all work great. Well, I can really feel that in the hamstring. Now my left leg is not as flexible as my right side, so I really feel this a little bit more. And so I notice, well, am I pushing a little bit too much? So maybe I should back off a little bit. All right, remember we're going to repeat this, okay? Those 2 actions. We'll get into the right hip flexor once again, and then return to this left hamstring. Okay, take 2 more breaths. And then carefully Just lift yourself up, get those blocks, or if you've got another set of blocks, great. Walk forward, back to the box shape. I need to reposition where this left foot is. I'm going to wiggle that foot forward, changing that angle so I can go ahead and lunge again. There we are. Oh, that feels good. Nicely extended through the torso. Hips sinking naturally and getting into that right hip flexor, even into the left inner thigh a little bit here too. Remember not to go too deeply, or notice that if you went a little deep, maybe that felt good initially, but then you can back out of it so your body can get used to it. You want to be at a place, and I've said this before, when you're working at 60%, especially in a pose like this, that you're able to hold it for a long time. And it doesn't feel like you're overstretching or overworking the body. And for something like the splits, you really want to have that openness and that flexibility. And so if you're able to hold this, for a good amount of time in a healthy fashion, you probably can eventually get into the splits. 2 more breaths. All right, let's go ahead and sit back carefully. Same thing, let's get that left hamstring stretch. Use a prop, books, blocks, whatever you've got there to sit on that left side to help protect both the right leg and left leg. Tuck a pillow or a towel underneath the left leg at the bend of the knee. Nice long torso, hinge forward, just a tiny bit. So this is our prep work for the splits or Hanumanasana. Now, just a brief story about Hanuman. Hanuman is considered the monkey king, the monkey king. And part of his story and the pose itself is that he is leaping or jumping. So consider it an action that's going along with the splits. So your left leg out front and your right leg straight out back behind you. Think of yourself, you just leapt across the room, for example. So in Hanuman's case, he's leaping from one mountaintop to the next mountaintop. And so his legs are just stretching way out. So that's the action. So of course that takes a lot of opening, release, and a lightness as well. So maybe we can incorporate those traits. All right, let's take one more breath in and out. And we'll make our way back up, maybe to that box shape with the legs here. Got my blocks here for some support. Leaning to the right so I can step this left foot back onto my knees. Nice and tall here to realign the hips. All right, we're pretty much done. We're just going to sit back and off to the side. Let's actually move some of our props out of the way. So once you've got all that, I'm just going to sit down in the center of your mat and go ahead and lie down. I just need to make some adjustments with my mat and props here. Again, you're going to lie down. Have your props nearby. Blanket, you can actually lie on your blanket if you want. Have your blocks nearby as well. When you lie down, go ahead and lie down with knees bent, feet flat on the ground for a moment. Take a breath. Let your back settle into the ground. This is great. This is what you really want to do, especially after those poses we just did. Because both of those postures, the leg extension as well as the hip flexor release, kind of gets into our pelvis, or a lot into our pelvis. And that also means low back. And we want to give that a little rest. Now, you're going to hug right knee into chest. Give another circle in the ankles. And this time we're going to extend the leg, but you don't have to fully extend the leg. If you can see my leg is bent. I'm just holding on to it with both hands, and the leg is just up in the air. That's all. A couple breaths. I'm not even engaging the foot that's in the air. The leg is just up. Just a different feeling of extending. And I'm just going to bend the knee, set the foot back down, and do the same on the other side. So hug the left knee in, give the ankle and foot a little circle, and then when you're ready, extending the leg, not needing to fully extend it. It's just up, hold on to it. You can even continue your circles with the foot if you want, flex and point, or just keep it loose. All right, bring the left foot down. Let's take our twists. Actually, no, let's do our hip opener. Sorry, we're going to do our hip opener first. So bring the legs together so they touch, and then let the knees open to either side of the room. Let the soles of the feet touch if they can. And we did this seated, so this is just the reclining version. Here's where you can use your blocks again or pillows and just let them, just set them underneath the knees so your legs can rest very naturally and easily. Take some deep breaths. Hopefully through all of that you stayed relatively relaxed as well. We did some deep stretching, but hopefully that didn't, overtax you. And you were able to maintain slow, deep breaths. So just check in with your breathing at this moment. Nice grounding effect. Feel this connection to the ground. We're just making our journey towards the end of our practice. So lots of things that we did today. So we did some glute activation, just to awaken that part of the body, because they can certainly deactivate when they don't get much work done, right? And made our way towards the splits by stretching the hip flexors, hamstrings, and even thinking about the meaning behind the splits in yoga. 2 more breaths. You can bring your knees together. Give your knees a hug. Hold that for a moment. We'll take a twist now. So taking the knees over to the left side, both knees to the left. As you extend your right arm to the right, I'm letting my legs kind of rest on that block that's still on that side. Holding here for several breaths. And let me just add one more trait about Hanuman, because there was a reason why he was leaping from mountaintop to mountaintop. He was given a request by his king to save another soul. But that person, that being, was somewhere far, far away, and they needed to get to them quickly. And so, out of devotion, out of love, out of devotion and love, Hanuman took on this act of leaping from mountaintop to mountaintop to meet the ailing friend. Completely out of devotion, unconditional love. So that's another meaning behind the Monkey King. Two more breaths. And then go ahead and come back to center. You can give yourself another hug right here if you'd like, just so your hips realign. And then you can slowly take the knees over to the right side for your spinal twist. So both knees over to the right, maybe resting on a block or pillow, extending your left arm to the left side. Once again, just tune into your breathing. Just slow, steady breaths. Maybe your body and your mind feel much more relaxed. Now it's fully prepared for the true part of your yoga practice, which is Shavasana. Being able to come to complete stillness, softness and ease in the mind and body, letting go of any obstacles so that you can come to full meditation, connection with self, others, and all things. Two more breaths here in this twist. Whenever you're ready, bring the knees back up to center, another hug. As you hug here, just decide what relaxing pose you like to end in. Maybe it's just Shavasana, where you extend your legs out onto the floor. You're just flat on the ground here, arms just down by your side. Now, if you need or want some props to use for this posture, please use them. If your body's a little chilled, maybe place a blanket over your body so you stay warm. Maybe a blanket underneath your head or a pillow for softness and ease. Maybe you need to elevate your feet or legs. Please do so. Find that comfortable space. Tune in breath. Take a few deep breaths. And with each exhale, just feel that melting into the earth. Softness, ease. Stay with your breath. If your mind begins to wander, and sometimes that happens, just be aware of the thought, set it to the side, take a deep breath, come back to this moment. Stay here as long as you like, especially if you've found a very comfortable space. Just relish in it. Even as I end the practice, you're welcome to stay right here. There's certainly no rush to move. And when it is time to move, start with breath. Take 5 slow, deep breaths. If you plan to stay here a little longer, you can just keep the breath easy. Only deepen the breath when it's time to move. Feeling energy return to your body. Feeling movement return to your body. And then sometime after your 5th breath, feeling that movement return, so you can slowly and carefully roll onto either side of your body, even pausing here for a moment or two in this nurturing pose. And then carefully guide your way up, coming to seated. Maybe you'll sit on a pillow or blanket. Find a nice re-extension of your spine, sitting up tall and proud. And shoulders and arms and hands are relaxed. Take a breath here. And then one more movement together. Inhale, extend your arms out and up. And exhale, bring your palms together and down to your heart. Hold here. Take one more breath in and out. And as we come to the close of our practice together, we bow, saying, Namaste.